We are live.
We are live. I'm so excited to be here with you again today. How are you doing?
Very, very well. Thank you. How are you doing today?
Listen, I'm doing fantastic. I'm always doing fantastic. It's great here to be with you because I always value your skills, your podcast, and everything else that you do. So I'm so thankful that you accepted my invitation to be part of this. I'm really,
Wow.
really happy.
Wow, that actually means a lot coming from you.
I'm hoping that we have a lot of people join us today. If not, whoever joins, I hope they get the benefit of this. I'm looking so forward to it. We have a few minutes. So tell me a little bit about what have you been up to? I saw your last podcast. It was incredible.
Wow, thank you very much. We've actually been doing a lot of great stuff behind the scenes. And in the next couple of weeks, expect a couple of heavyweights in the finance world. I'll keep it that way. Don't let me let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, you got to show and tell. You got to show and tell.
Let me keep it that way, but you keep expecting
You got
huge
to
heavy.
speak it into existence.
Yeah, no, we have them booked already. So tomorrow I'm speaking with one of them, and I think next week, yeah, another one. So we're going to be having top level finance professionals on the platform.
Wow.
It's wild.
Listen, I mean, I have listened to a lot of the other podcasts that you've put out. I mean, let's face it, you're the top 2% out there globally, right, in your space,
Yeah.
especially with the CFO diaries. I mean, fantastic, fantastic. But some of the people that you have had on your podcast, and I know that we got to start this show, have been absolutely blown me away. But anyway, I'm going to turn this over to you. Let's kick off our live training today. And then, we could chat. You and I can chat later.
Okay, thank you very much. So, guys, you're welcome to the webinar today, and we are discussing the 15-minute cyber shield. We've got our expert in the house today, the one and only Michelle Novak. And of course, we are going to be talking about how to audit proof your practice and stay IRS compliant without hiring a tech firm. Uh, you should actually hire a particular tech firm. It's the name of that firm is Cardinals Byte to help you with your compliance protocol. I don't know why the title is this way, but I'm going to introduce myself. I am AI. Don't ask me why I'm AI. Go ask my parents. My name is Adibola Isimeme Adewade. So I'm actually a podcaster. It's interesting to see that we are actually having a webinar for accountants, tax professionals, bookkeepers, and I am a chartered accountant, what they call a CPA in the US. But these days, I don't introduce myself as an accountant any longer. So, guys, I'm a chartered accountant. I'm also a globally ranked podcaster. I host the Kingdoms podcast, which is ranked global top 2%, and Diary of a CFO, which is ranked global top 3%. And I've had the honor and the privilege to have, amazing experts from all over the world, like Michelle Novak, the cybersecurity expert, that will be doing justice to the training today. So without further ado, let me hand over to the pro. She's the pro, I am the Joe, and we are going to be educated today. Over to you, Michelle.
Listen, wow, I don't even think I could follow up with that kind of introduction. So, welcome everybody. I'm Michelle Novak, founder of Cardinal Byte, cybersecurity risk management and risk management company. So, if you're a CPA, a tax professional, accountant, or bookkeeper, you know that your EFIN is your livelihood. But right now, the IRS is changing the rules today, and I'm going to show you how to build a 15-minute cyber shield, a way to satisfy the IRS and audit-proof your practice without having to become a tech genius or spend 40 hours a week reading manuals. This training also applies to other licensed professionals like attorneys and insurance agents as well. So without any further ado, I'm going to kick off today. I'm going to ask that everybody keep all of their questions to the end. If you have a question, certainly put it in the chat. We'll monitor that, and then we'll answer those questions as we go along. I also want to ask everybody for housekeeping rules. Please just keep your audio on mute, and let's see your face. So make sure that your actual visual is on. Let's begin. So this is what we're going to go over today. Here's our agenda. First, we're going to look at the IRS loophole, how to meet requirements with simple settings you already own. Second, we're going to talk about the AI vault using agentic technology to guard your data while you sleep. Finally, the ghost exit, how to stop your liability breach the moment tax season ends. We'll wrap up with specific checklists and steps that you can take to implement today. Before we begin, I want to share with you a story, right? A few weeks ago, had a client. She was new. She begins to tell me how her client paid a $40,000 invoice to a hacker. What we call a BEC attack, or business email compromise, which, by the way, is the number one threat right now, along with wire fraud today for all small businesses. What I found interesting is that she had a WISP. She had her firewall set up. She was using MSP. But what she didn't have was the human firewall, the process of using a safe word before funds are transferred. I've worked with over 100 clients, and they all tell me the same thing. My IT guy is going to handle it. Let me be clear. There's a difference between what I do and what your IT guy does. That is risk and compliance. He handles your network setup when you get a black screen and need a password reset. We build a shield to pass the audit. We build the gap between hardware and the IRS legal requirements. Stop spending hours using ChatGPT or Google to figure out how to document your assets and classify them on a WISP. And you're still probably wondering at the end of the day if you did it right. We provide the WISP, the IRP plans, and we are built specifically for your business. I had another client, and I'm going to just share another story with you because I love my stories. I had another client, a 30-year-old veteran in his profession, a pillar of his community. He had his EFIN suspended in the middle of tax season because he couldn't produce an access and control log because the IRS auditor was asking. He had a simple system glitch, and they wanted to see how it was tracked and handled. The truth was, he thought his IT guy handled it, right? Because that's the person who set up their firewall. That's the person that set up his VPN, that set up the MFA for him. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't the person that monitored his logs, understood what was required. So ultimately, he had a suspension. And, this is a gentleman I can tell you that I've known for quite a long time. He has really become overwhelmed by the whole process. And I'm actually working with him to try to get everything set up so he can get back online and do what he needs to do. But I'm going to share that with you because it's so important that you understand the training that you're going to go through today. It's not just about the livelihood of what you do. It's really about the livelihood and the trust of your customers as well, right? When you DIY it yourself, you spend a lot of time trying to decipher the risk, right? The IRS Security 6 and the FTC requirements. You're not a technical director. You're a licensed professional. Let us help you build that shield and give you back billable hours to build a business and serve your clients. That's what this training is about today. So please take notes and be mindful that if you have questions, make sure that you write them down so we can answer them at the end of this webinar, Clay. So here's some testimonies from my clients that we have helped build baseline. They all have one theme in common. They've all felt relieved, educated, and secured by utilizing our services. They understood the value we were bringing and how we could save them time, money, and most importantly, keep the trust with their clients while being confident and audit ready. Sarah, I've worked with for a long time, And, a unique story about Sarah, and I'll share with you really quickly, is she was just starting out when she got introduced to me. And she knew nothing. She had no baseline. She understood that she needed to get compliant. She understood what she needed to do, but she didn't even know where to start. We helped her from start to finish, right? Like really understanding what it meant to have that document, but not only have it written, kind of use it and look at it and, monitor it. So she was very thankful for that. But I wanted to share that with you because I work with all types of businesses. And I love providing resources like I am today to small businesses so they can learn and grow. Okay. Let's talk about Cardinal Byte's Compliance Shield. The requirement now is to show that you've actually governed the process that you put on paper. It's not just creating this fancy document that we're calling a WISP and handing it to an auditor and an insurance company and hoping it's going to pass. The regulators are looking for true governance, which means you state in your WISP, you have a backup for a hard drive and you test it every 60 days. They're going to want to see that process, the proof and the logs and the timestamps. It's now a proof. Show me. And that's what they're looking for today. The regulators, again, want to make sure that what you're stating on paper and what you're doing is actually happening. And that's why, again, I'm doing this training today to try to help you in 15 minutes a week figure that out and get it right. So I just shared 2 events or a couple of things that happened that I know of, where you really thought your IT guy was handling it and doing the right thing. That's a $50,000 mistake you can't afford. Again, I'm going to repeat that. It's a $50,000 mistake you cannot afford. My client who couldn't produce those access logs, his EFIN is shut down. He's facing a fine. Will it be $50,000? I don't know, right? But I can tell you they can charge up to $50,000, and that's the scary part. Again, the IT guy handles your connections, making sure your printer works, your internet is fast, your router and your firewalls are installed properly, but they don't manage the system logs, that point of detection, the proof the IRS and the FTC is requiring you to show you're monitoring, detecting, preventing from PII being exposed. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at what the auditors look at. These are the top 4. When an auditor walks in, they aren't looking at your code. They're looking at these 4 things. Do you have a log? Is your user inventory clean? Can you prove your staff was trained? If you can't produce these on demand, you aren't compliant, period. When I walk in, right, and I'm going to do an audit and I'm on site, I'm going to walk you through my perspective with my 30 years of experience as an auditor. I'm walking into a client's office, whether it's a new one or an existing one, and I'm observing behaviors. I'm taking a look at processes and protocols they have in place. I'm looking at how much paperwork they have left out on the front desk with no one around and the cleaning lady wiping the monitor. I'm looking at the open file cabinets with the information exposed. I'm looking at the computer screen unlocked because Mary's going to get her coffee for the morning. Right? And then I'm looking at, is the laptop sitting by the front door with no cables on it? I then take these observations and I ask them for the policies and procedures because that's what the IRS auditors are going to do too, right? They're going to come in, they're going to observe your environment. If it's virtual, you're lucky, right? But if it's not virtual, that's what they're going to do. Any auditor does that, right? I'm going to ask them for their policy and procedures. I may ask, say, show me your laptop security. I'm going to read what they put in writing, and then I'm going to start asking questions. But what I already know is that they're not following their own procedures because that laptop at the front desk doesn't have a cable on it. And I'm sure in their policy and procedures, they wrote that they would cable it. So again, these are easy fixes and things, and I'm just pointing those type of things out from my perspective, from a cybersecurity perspective, but also an auditor's perspective. These are easy things that you can verify within your own procedures, if you have them written, right? Are we following what I said I'm going to do? Because that's really, again, the change this year in the mandates. It's not about just having things on paper. It's about show me the governance and show it to me and prove it to me. I really, again, want to drill that down to all of you. As an auditor, we're not there to make your life miserable. We're there to help you build a stronger shield and protect what matters, your data, your reputation, and your client's information. So let's get into secret number one. I call this the loophole because you already pay for the tools you need to satisfy 80% of the audit. You just haven't turned the on switch on yet. So let's talk a little bit about the IRS loophole. Here we have, right, the myth. Again, we just talked about what the IT guy does. A lot of people fall into that trap. They think they've hired an MSP provider and they're monitoring their systems and they're telling them they're 24 hours protected. Think again, right? Again, the truth is that the 4557 has changed and it's going to continue to change. There are a lot of elements to that 4557 that you are required to have. And if you don't have those things in place, you're not compliant at all. We're going to get your audit ready, right? It's simple. Once you create that WISP, you're going to sign it. That's critical. I can't tell you how many times I have gotten a phone call from someone and they say, I got the auditors here. They're looking for the signed WISP. You know, I've given it to them. They have it either in their binder. They've had them on their, a digital print of it, but they never took the time to print it out, read it, and actually sign it. So I'm going to enforce that again. Make sure today, if the one thing that you do, you take out that WISP, if you've created it yourself or if somebody else has created it for you, you make sure it's signed and dated because that's critical. Okay? And update it periodically or annually. So if there's changes in your environment, right, that WISP, again, is not a one and done. It's a live, living document. Most people, and even though you're only required to have an annual review of it, you are also required to update it periodically. If your systems change, if you use a new software, if you get rid of an old software, if you destroy servers, you need to update the assets. You need to update all of the information that's part of that. If you change the way you handle how your printer is, bulletproof, right? You need to update that. That's what it requires. It's a detailed document, again, that's living proof of what you do day to day. Let's talk a little bit more against the IRS loopholes. We talked a lot about the WISP being a living document, but you're also required to have MFA. What is MFA? A lot of people don't have that on their systems. I'm going to tell you, if you do not have two-factor authentication on any of the software, whether it be for your client, logging in to pay you through your payment website, right? Or your own personal websites that you have access to process your tax returns or go into QuickBooks, whatever it might be, and you have not set this up, you need to stop what you're doing today and do that, especially on a website. So if you have somebody who has the ability to go pay you through your website, I am going to tell you that is one of your biggest threats out there. Because if you don't have two-factor authentication, that website can get hit with what we call a card attack at any given minute, especially if your website has not been pen tested and made sure it's bulletproof. Again, this is all about protecting and taking small steps that you can protect that client and that data. Data encryption, right? End-to-end encryption for all clients and transfers, without a doubt. Now, you may be on older systems. Anything really Windows 10 and less, you may want to take a look at updating. You may really want to go into the newer operating systems, and even Macs, right? Because the protection and the built-in compliance and configurations are a lot more focused today on what's happening in the cybersecurity world than 8 years ago for a Windows 8 computer, right? You're not protected. I don't care what you have on those systems. Those are liabilities, and you need to look at that, right? If you haven't designated a specific person in your firm, make sure that you do, because even if you're a one-person solo shop, you're still required to designate yourself as that person who's going to oversee everything. And a lot of people get confused by that because they're not IT. Again, you're not IT directors. You have licenses to practice, right? But you're not an IT director. Maybe you can get through the technicalities, but it's important that you understand that, because you ultimately are the responsible person, regardless of what other software environments that you have to help you protect yourself. Have the annual training. All of you take your annual CPE and CEU credits. Part of that is, I'm sure, cybersecurity. Make sure that you have that downloaded, kept in your binder or kept in your digital wallet, wherever you want to keep all of your stuff for cybersecurity. It should all be separated and isolated so you can get to it at any given time if an auditor walks in. Make sure that you track all of that, right? You can use a spreadsheet. I don't care what you use. If you want to use, a simple PDF saying on this day, I took this training, but again, be able to show the proof of the date and time, and you should have it signed by yourself that you acknowledge that you took this training. If the platform you took the training on doesn't give that to you, okay? But these are all simple things. 15 minutes. Again, think 15 minutes for DIY cyberproofing your firm. And that's what I want you to think about today as we're going through this. So I'm going to give you some easy wins here, right? Phishing is now 90% of tax professionals' problem to getting hacked all the time. So inside your Microsoft Security Center, there is what we call a first contact safety tip. Turn it on. I've given you the steps here, right? And again, this is for anybody who uses Microsoft 365. These are a quick win for you today to go ahead and protect your digital seatbelt for your staff and yourself. It puts a giant warning banner on any email from someone you don't know. And it gives you an alert. And it's monitoring against massive data systems to see if it's part of any kind of backdoor or phishing, known phishing emails and whatever else, data breaches and everything else. So make sure that you use this tip today, right? You go to your security center. You're going to click on policy and rules. You're going to click on threat policies, anti-phishing, and under the rules section, you're going to look for something that says spoof intelligence, and you're going to toggle that on. It's a simple, quick fix to add that extra layer of protection on your emails, because as we know, 90% of emails phishing, you're getting hacked. That is how my client was able to lose $40,000, right? True story. $40,000. Her client paid her $40,000. That person, that hacker, was sitting in the middle. He sent an email to her client giving her instructions on a different account and routing number, and it got paid. Right now, she's battling that, right? She's battling that problem with the insurance companies because they don't want to pay that. They're saying, nope, the IRS was on you. So again, this is a quick win today. Take 5 minutes. When you're done with this webinar, go and turn this on if you have a Microsoft product. There's similar products and ways that you can do this for Apple, especially if you use your Gmail through Apple. But I will tell you this, even when you turn it on through the Gmail or Google, Apple is always going to take precedent, and then that's going to be a second layer. So I will share that with you as well. Easy win, MFA setup. We talked about this earlier. I'm going to walk you through your step-by-step here, right? You're going to go to admin.microsoft.com. You're going to sign into your global admin account. You're going to navigate down to active users. You're going to click on multi-factor authentication. It's usually probably at the top of the list. And you're going to hit enable. That's simple. It's very simple. It's as simple as I'm explaining it. That's how fast it can be done. So if you have not set up MFA, that is the first thing that you need to do after you go ahead and you protect your emails. And again, we all love Google. If you're unsure about something, Google it. But I'm giving you the steps right here. And you will have this deck and these instructions at the end of this web class today. In order to make sure that it's enforced, you want to log out and then you want to log back in. And you should get the prompt to authenticate yourself. Okay? Let's move along. Audit tracking the paper trail, right? So proving your baseline defenses, as we talked about today, sign WISP, the verification, maintain it in a compliance or a physical or digital binder, whatever works for you. Every January, print it, sign it, date your WISP, update it. Again, an unsigned WISP is just a draft in an auditor's eyes. It's as good as saying, that's great. How do I know you implemented any of this? And that's a red flag for them. They're going to dig in deep when they see that. As an auditor, when I see something that doesn't look right, I dig in deep. Because I know that means it's telling me processes are broken already. Remember that. Export your MFA, get it all set up. If you have a team, make sure they're setting this up, right? We talked about your phishing. Make sure that you're setting up that email, and, a simple sign memo naming your security coordinator, whoever that might be. It might be you. It might be another person in your office. It might be your IT guy. It might be your MSP provider, which is your managed service provider that normally a lot of you companies sign up for to help put that extra layer of protection on your system. So again, whoever that might be, make sure that you have something signed and dated. And if it is somebody else, make sure that they have signed and dated, because they're the person who's responsible and they're the person in your WISP that you've designated to update and do all of this. Let's talk about the AI vault. Hackers don't sleep at night. They use bots to scan your firm 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To fight a bot, you need a bot, right? The Agentic AI doesn't just watch, it acts. It's someone who tries to download 500 tax returns at 3 a.m. from an IP in another country. The AI Agentic kills the connection before you can even wake up. And, I'm going to ask Adamola, because he's actually an expert in skilling up and teaching AI. What's your thoughts on that, Adamola, when I say that?
It's actually really, really amazing what human beings can do with AI. So think about AI as a smart person replicating themselves in a million places. That is the power of AI. So it's really interesting looking at the different operators, different executives that I've been able to interview, right? And of course, I'm an auditor myself, an ex-auditor, global Big Four auditor. And cybersecurity has always been a part of, the work that I did at PwC, at KPMG. You cannot extract cybersecurity from finance. It's impossible. So and the interesting thing is the tactics keep getting more sophisticated by the minute. So it's called LLMs for a reason. They're large language learning models, right? So we always need to stay ahead of the curve. And many thanks to experts like yourself that are, taking that time out to educate the public. about these things. So I think if you're listening, 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. Please listen attentively. I'll hand it over back to the expert. Again, I'm the Joe, and of course you're the pro.
Yeah, no, I think you're more of a pro when it comes to teaching AI, right? And the skills and the things that it does. But thank you very much. Listen, AI is critical, the agentic AI, and I'm going to walk you through a little bit about what you should do with this and make it become your vault, right? The truth is, security is only as good as the tools and the humans that are sitting behind the desk monitoring and watching the alerts, right? When you have an MSP provider, they can have all the tools in the world, but there's still a human element of someone watching those tools, monitoring those alerts, right? Potential hacks happen every day. The infiltration, it's really the infiltration that's waiting to happen. One of the biggest cybersecurity defense monitoring services that have 80% of government contracts was hacked last year. I want you to think about that. This is a billion-dollar company that was able to get hacked. If a billion-dollar company can get hacked, what do you think they're going to do to a small business? Everybody's vulnerable. I hear it all the time. I'm too small. They don't want me. You're wrong. You're wrong. I actually was just talking to one of my clients. She was telling me how one of her clients got hacked. They're a small business owner. They actually had a ransomware. You know how much they asked for? They shut down their systems. They asked them for $1 million. $1 million. This is a small business owner. Okay, and this is a true story. They were able, luckily, to haggle with them and only pay, I think it was like $40-something thousand. But you never know. You're dealing with thieves here, right? You're dealing with people who have no scruples. They don't care if you have $1 in your bank or if you have 100 million. They're looking to make money quick. Listen, they've shut down hospitals using ransomware. They've shut down infrastructures, think, right? Dams. So hackers today are a different breed, and they're using AI to do most of the work. Where it took a hacker maybe years to infiltrate and build his systems to, hack into your systems and sit and wait and gather the information, it's done in a matter of minutes now using AI. So you need to use AI backwards in order to help you protect against those, right? The cost for a small business today to recover from a breach, an actual breach, is about $120,000 to $150,000. If you don't have that sitting around, again, you need to make sure that you're building skills and tools within your firm to protect yourself. Don't rely on anybody else, because the IRS ultimately knows that you're the one who's responsible for the safety and the protection of your personal information and your data. They don't care who you've hired. They're going to look at you. So let's talk a little bit more about the AI agentic monitoring. It's only part of the key to building a secure perimeter and protecting your client's data. This is a very small part of it. If someone tries to download 500 tax returns at 3 a.m. from an IP address in another country, the AI can kill that connection before you even wake up. And how do you deploy this, right? We're going to talk, and I'm going to show you some steps on what you can use and recommend some tools here that you can use that are very easy to deploy and set up in your environment on the next few slides. But it's important that you understand it can check your emails, it can check your files every hour, every minute, depending on how you program it, right? It's all about the language that you use. And Ademola, you know this better than anybody, right? It's about how you instruct that AI when you're setting it up and how
Prompt engineering.
Yeah,
Prompt engineering.
Yeah.
And I think I missed out on something the other time, right? What is really amazing about AI and makes it a very, very big threat is, I would say, the economics behind it. It is very cheap. So imagine hiring 100,000 lawyers, 100,000 engineers, 100,000, doctors at just $20 a month. It is wild. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. You and I did a webinar a couple of weeks ago on deepfakes. We know how easy it is to change things up. But let's continue with this, right? This is about moving from hope to certainty. We're using ISO 2701 standards, the gold standards of security, and automating them. That's what you can do with Agentic AI, and that's important for you to know. It's going to help you protect your PTIN and EFIN and stay safe. If you're not using AI in your business, you might as well just shut the doors because everybody's using AI, but with responsibility. I use AI, but I oversee everything. I don't trust it 100%, that tool. And as a cyber engineer, I can't trust it 100%. I have to validate and verify. And I always tell everybody, validate, verify, or verify and validate, right? Anytime you use tools like this. So the paper trail for secret number 2 is all about behavioral baselines. And I think Adam always said it best, the prompt. When the IRS asks you, how do you monitor your data? You show them these logs. You show them the automated response history. It proves you aren't just a passive victim, that you're a proactive defender. Here's some quick wins for DIY, right? Do it yourself, to help you deploy and set up these tools that automate your protecting and ensure your client's PII keeps safe. If you have an MSP provider handling this for you, there are 3 questions I want you to ask them that's critical. And depending on how they answer, you may want to find someone else. And I deal with this all day long. And I have MSP providers that I will partner with, but not every MSP provider is the same. When you use an MSP or a managed service provider, you're outsourcing the execution of that IT. But you cannot outsource the responsibility of that data. Again, you are ultimately responsible under the IRS and the FTC for the data that leaves your systems or that's within your systems. So these are the questions I want you to ask. Can you provide a responsibility matrix that defines exactly what alerts your SOC or Security Operations Center monitors 24/7 versus what is automated or ignored? Many firms assume the MSP is watching everything. In reality, many MSPs only monitor the up and down statuses. Is the server on? That's what they're monitoring, right? You need to know if they are monitoring the behavioral red flags and ensure there is an active threat hunting, not just passive monitoring. That's very critical when you're dealing with an MSP, right? Then, what is your documented incident response plan for your firm? I'm going to repeat that. You want to ask them, what is your documented incident response plan for our firm? And what is the guaranteed SLA or service level agreement for containing a live threat? When a breach happens, every minute counts. I've seen it. I've shut them down immediately, right? You don't want to be negotiating who's responsible for, while your data is being exfiltrated. You need to know their time to detect and their time to remediate. If their response time for a virus is the same as their response time for the time to detect and remediate, your firm is going to be at extreme risk. So ultimately, who is responsible for the legal obligations and notifying your regulators? You want to understand that responsibility. Who handles that, right? And who's ultimately responsible? If your MSP provider says, we use brand name antivirus, so you're 100% protected, that for me has always been a red flag because no tool provides 100% protection. Security is about people and processes behind those tools. Again, it's the human firewall. There's always a human element. You can have as many tools as you want. I have tools, but it's the human element that's monitoring and actually helping to protect and add that extra layer of security. Agentic Oversight implementation. So let's talk about this, right? You need to identify your assets, right? Where are they located? That's the most important. You need to map all the network drives holding your PII. You need to scan your OneDrive, your Dropbox, look for SSN patterns. You need to tag sensitive folders as restricted. You need to set the guardrails, right? These are the things that you would do with your AI agentic employee, because that's what I like to call them. Implementing an AI oversight directly is superior because it solves who guards the guards, basically, problem. When you rely solely on that MSP, or maybe you have an internal IT guy or external IT guy or someone else in your office, depending on how small your firm is or how large your firm is, you need to validate that. As the owner of your firm, you need to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. With Agentic AI, you have an independent, autonomous system that monitors the MSPs, monitors these people, and its actions in real time, right? Flagging the anomalies before they become a catastrophe. Again, I talked earlier about trust but verify. The AI audits the auditors. And that's what you should implement, right? You don't need to write Python. A lot of people tell me, "Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know anything about how to set this up, so on and so forth." What you must be able to do is give the system simple instructions, what we call prompt engineering, right? That acts as your digital SOPs. The clearer you are in those instructions, the easier it is for that agentic AI robot, as I like to call, will execute on your system. The tools used for this are no longer just simple scanners, right? They're autonomous agents. They can think, reason, and act, right? Here are tools, for DIY that you can implement today and that I recommend, right? And that can perform works. You can turn it on and it's easy. So the first one is Microsoft Copilot Studio. It's the DIY leader. And I tell you that because it allows you to build custom agents that connects directly to your Microsoft 365, the logs, your SharePoint, your emails. You can ground these agents in your own firm's policies so they know exactly what a violation looks like. In Copilot Studio, you can use Microsoft Graph API connector to feed the agent your sign-in logs and audit logs. So you can do a lot of different things with your AI agentic robot or autonomous tracker, whatever you want to call it today, right? Dark Trace Respond is another one. It's known for a self-learning AI. It creates a pattern of life for your firm. It sees a server being shut down or data being moved to an unusual time, and it's going to take surgical action and lock out that user's account, and it's going to shut it down in seconds without waiting for some human to tell it what to do. But again, you program these tools. They're very easy to use, but you program them. So we talked about implementation checklists, right? This is the technical how-to. We sync the AI to your email and your tax server. We set the alert level to high. This creates an uneditable log. This is what makes you audit-proof, right? When the auditors come in and they see this tool set up and they see the proof, the logs, the monitoring, they know that you take security serious, right? It makes them feel comfortable. And again, as an auditor myself, we're not there to do the I got you. We're there to make sure that you're protected, right? And that you're protecting your client's data. The system instructions for the auditor agent, you give it instructions again, a system prompt. The section of Copilot Studio Agent, you go in and you tell it its role. You are an autonomous hardware and data auditor for, ABC firm. And you actually tell the AI agentic tool that that's what they are. You tell it your objective and what it needs to execute. Your primary mission is to monitor Microsoft Graph API logs and my Microsoft Outlook email for evidence of hardware decommissioning, server shutdowns, data destruction, any changes or anomalies, a lot of logins, phishing, and it will actually build on the back end that objective. It'll create the operational logic and then execute it. So every time you receive a server offline or a device removed, an alert VPI via the API immediately searches for an Outlook inbox sent for the keywords. It's going to look for anything that you program it. And it's going to start immediately sending alerts as you set it up. It's going to conduct verification checks. If a matching email from an unauthorized MSP contact exists, it's going to summarize. It's going to put it in a chain of custody plan, and it's going to wait for the certificate of destruction to arrive. If no matching email exists within the last 48 hours, it'll categorize as like a critical security or anomaly and then send you an email alert. Again, these tools are there to help you implement simple things. So let's go to the next thing. To use Microsoft Copilot for Agentic Oversight, you'll essentially build a special assistant in Microsoft Copilot Studio or a security copilot that acts as an independent auditor for your MSP systems and anything else that you got. Okay. For example, you don't need to write code. You can just use natural language to describe what you need that auditor to do, like I just mentioned. And it's going to give you the audit tracking and the paper trail for auditors to review, proving it in real time that you have oversight on your systems. It's going to look at the purview of, Cardinals Byte generated a data loss prevention log, right? And they export these monthly to show the IRS that they're active in blocking unauthorized data. It's a double layer of security. Behavioral baseline proofs, right? Maintaining a report of known user locations, critical. Again, we're going to talk about users next. If an auditor asks you how you stop a Russian attack, show them that you have geo-blocking enforcement on your logs. They're going to love this. Again, use the tool, set it up. It's going to help protect you. Automate the response history. Log every time the system auto disables an account for suspicious behavior. It's the proactive defense. It's the FTC safeguard requires that today, right? They want to know that you're monitoring, detecting, and they want to know the steps that are being taken to protect. That's the most critical. Again, it's about governance today. Not just saying you're doing these things, but showing that you're doing these things. So that's going to lead me into the ghost exit. So I see this happen all the time. I go and I conduct a risk assessment, run a script on all users, and bingo, there are 5 people listed on the company, still have access. We call this IRS proof fine. That's what I call it. The IRS proof fine. Because that's exactly what they do. And they know this is the number one breach opportunity, leaving access open for those that are no longer with your company. So let's talk a little bit about the ghost exit, right? Because this is critical. Tax season ends. We all want to collapse. But on April 16th, you have a massive security hole, right? It's the seasonal staff. Their logins are ghost credentials. If you don't vanish them, they're a back door waiting to happen to be opened. I see it all the time. This is a simple checklist. It's not complicated. Put a reminder on your calendar for April 16th. And then take the following steps that I'm going to teach you and execute them. Again, we just talked about the AI tool. You can actually have your AI do this for you once you implement it. This is a 60-second protocol to ensure that when a staff member leaves, your liability leaves with them. There's no doors open. Okay? Again, use the AI tool that we just talked about. It's going to help you. Tax season ends. Again, we talked about this. I just conducted a cyber risk assessment 2 weeks ago on a client. Sure enough, they had seasonal workers from last year college students, helping them out during tax crunch. The problem was they were allowing them access still to their server because they worked remotely, and they never removed them. So this ex-employee could actually log in at any time and still have access to the client's data. You know, when I see this, I just shake my head, because with all the information that's out there, with the push, I know a lot of you probably attend the tax, the IRS tax summit every year. You have to be on point, especially if you're newer, but especially if you're in this, profession for years and years and years. It doesn't matter. When a seasonal worker keeps their credentials, they become a ghost user. That's where the ghost comes in, right? A high privileged account that sits dormant, invisible to the overworked owner, but open wide for exploitation. Okay? I'm going to tell you something. I had a similar situation. Because the company failed to shut it down, right? I think it was like 3 or 4 months after this person left, right? It was an ex-employee, personal laptop. It was infected with malware at a coffee shop because he still had active VPN and email access to the firm. The hacker used his ghost credentials to bypass any firewall. There was no MFA set up. Move laterally into the firm's main database and exfiltrate thousands and thousands of clients' files without even triggering any kind of alert. You know why? Because he was acting as an employee. He was logged in as an employee. I see these hacks, you hear it all the time. If you're in a coffee shop, if you're out, you're in the airport, do not use the public Wi-Fi. You should be using VPN. Do not use, again, I'm going to say it again, do not use public Wi-Fi. Use VPN, because people sit around, and it's true. They sit around and they wait. They look, they monitor. Be smart. As a business owner, it's your responsibility to plug the holes and take the action to prevent this from happening. You have to mirror the digital departure from your network, and that's key. Revoke SAS, any kind of access, wipe it, kill the VPN. This isn't just deleting a user. It's a total scrub of the company data from personal devices. This is how you prevent the post-tax season breach that the IRS loves to look at. And believe me, they love it. Again, use Copilot. Create a kill the ghost. By syncing the AI agent to your email and tax servers, you can create a high alert, uneditable log that makes offboarding a process audit-proof. If a user is active beyond a certain departure date, it'll immediately trigger a kill switch workflow. The total scrub protocol, it'll revoke the licenses, the data, remotely wipe any PII or personal identifier information from known personal devices used from that remote worker. It'll kill the VPN connection and reset all credentials. And then the most important, it's going to log and the exact timestamps of these and the actions that we're taking. So it's your audit-proof file, right? Again, use these tools. Adamoli, what would you add to this from an AI perspective, right? Like, how valuable is it to use a tool like this?
I'll say this. So in any organization, whether you're big, small, medium, the process of change involves 3 factors. That is the people, the systems, right, and the processes. So what you're doing today is empowering the people, right? Because we need the people to have the right information to take the right actions, right? And of course, the processes and the systems is what we're talking about here. We are in an aging time where the margin for error is very, very, very small, right? It's something as simple as being threatened by using public Wi-Fi, for example. A lot of people do not take cognizance of these things, but you cannot be using public Wi-Fi without using a VPN, for example, right? So it's very important that the what I say responsible individuals in organizations, right, ensure that the processes in place, right, actually are compliant in nature. And I think at some point, this is something definitely we will touch on in another episode of this webinar, right? That is having a proper checklist, right? That can actually help people, because it's very difficult for the average person to follow through on, oh, do I need to do this, do I need to do that, right? But of course you guys need to what I say, have a paid consultation with the expert herself, right, to create that proper checklist. If your organization does not have a proper checklist in place that is adhered to and is periodically reviewed, then you should not be in business. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we have to apologize, right? I think everybody who's attending today, we're all responsible in one point or another. And to get back to that is, we're leaders within our organization, and we have to take the right steps and ensure that whatever's happening out there, we ultimately take that responsibility for. So I'm going to move along, right? Because we have a lot to go over. You're going to use this template, right? It's an offboarding checklist that you can use. Post it, print it, do whatever you need with it, right? It's a simple visual reminder. Set it on your calendar, send an invite. Again, for the audit tracking, you're going to disable user screenshots. You're going to make sure zero activity logs. You're going to run that report. You're going to make sure it's all proving that nobody's in, and that's your golden ticket, right, to comply with the audits. Vendors, I'm going to throw in an extra bonus here, right? I didn't have this as part of my 3, but I've added this bonus because, ultimately you're now responsible for your vendors. The new mandates now require your firm to validate that your third-party vendors are actually protecting your third-party data. If your portal provider gets hacked, the IRS is going to look at you. You must have their SOC 2 report and a 72-hour breach notice in writing. Those are the 2 main things that you need from your vendors. If you don't have that, you need to make sure that you have it. So I did a quick overview here. Here's a quick checklist and questions that you should ask every vendor that you have. Add this to your WISP to show proof that you've completed it and that you've done your due diligence and can prove that you vetted your vendors and they comply. This is the biggest thing now. One of the hot topics for all auditors. Review your contracts. Ensure that you are protected. And who and how they handle a breach and notifications responsibility is key there. Okay? Keep a vendor vault. Don't just take their word for it. Store the questionnaire that you asked them. If you stop using a vendor, document the date deletion. Document the day that you stopped using them. This is the due diligence, and the FTC demands this, right? So again, have the paper trail, the proof of the steps that you take. That's critical. So the law of the land, right? This isn't just a suggestion. The FTC, the IRS, they make this a requirement for your EFIN or your PTIN. If you don't have a WISP, you're basically operating, and I hate to say this, illegally in the eyes of the IRS, right? We're all signing and validating that we have these things in place. It's important that you do. And I'm just going to emphasize that again. It's important that you do. I hear all the time, I don't have time for this. The IRS doesn't care if you're the one person, or you have 50 people, or you have 500,000 people. They treat the audit the same, and they treat you the same as those big conglomerate companies. They expect small businesses today to be compliant and designate someone to lead their cybersecurity infrastructure. And again, they hold you to the same standards as anybody else. So whether you're a solopreneur, you have 5 employees, 20, 50, 100, you need to comply with the same thing as the big ones do. The audit-proof buildup, right? Imagine for a second, a week before tax season, right? You get the IRS audit notice. They want your WISP, your logs, your training records. Are you prepared to comply? I ask everybody that. That's the first question I ask, and one of the first questions I will ask when I walk in to a new client. This helps me understand where we need to start and how to help them build a baseline cyber shield around their business. This is going to work for them, right? I need you to ask yourself that question today. Are you prepared and can you comply? Because it's 2 different things. You know, we learned a lot today. I went through the top 3 secrets, the top 4 things that auditors are looking for when they walk in the door. I've given you systems, and hopefully many of you will implement and use what you've learned today, right? But what if, if all this did today was guarantee you to keep your EFIN for 10 years, if it just gave you back 100 hours of worry time, if it just let you sleep through an audit, would it be worth it, right? Would it be worth it? Would it be worth to protect your legacy? Would it be worth to stop spending hours and hours Googling, trying to figure out how your assets work? What do they mean by classification? Would this all be worth it? Stop drowning in the red tape, I tell everybody. What would this cost you to give you peace of mind? Well, I put together today a special offer, and this is only for participants on this web class, because I want you to be a part of the revolutionary IA system I'm building to make your life easier with a click of a button, and be audit ready and compliant, right? What would it be worth? And I'm sharing this with you today because I put together this offer that's really going to help you understand what it means to be compliant and have a cyber shield built for you. No more sleepless nights. No more worrying about the jargon from the technical aspect of it. No more relying on your IT guy. No more, anxiety about, when the auditors walk in, will I get suspended? No more document burnout. So I want to introduce to you the AI-driven compliance partner platform that I'm creating. But before I share this with you, giving you back billable hours to focus on you building your customer base and being able to stop your DIY projects of completing your own cybersecurity posture, I want you to meet the new platform that I'm building out. And I'm actually going to share this with you right now. I'm going to show you a live demo of what this tool will do for you. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit further. So give me one moment because I'm going to add it. I apologize. I just have to add it to our screen. So I'm currently building out a one and done, all and done platform for your compliance needs. It's a true cybersecurity shield built for CPAs, accountants, tax professionals, and bookkeepers. This system is so dynamic. It's going to be able to monitor your systems. It's going to comply with over 22 cybersecurity frameworks. It's going to immediately tell you what's passed, where the gaps are, what the failure for was, the remediation, who's responsible. It's going to monitor and provide you with your asset and your inventories. It's going to give you dynamic reporting, right? It'll give you monthly reports. It'll give you your risk assessment summary. It'll give you threat intelligence briefs. And you'll be able to do this all with a click of a button, right? No more scrambling for that binder. No more, trying to figure out what you need to print, what you need to sign. It also incorporates digital signatures. So you have that. It's going to be able to digest your current WISP and take it and format it and map it and fill in the gaps and create a brand new WISP that's compliant and audit ready. It's going to be able to generate on the spot templates for you, whether it be your WISP, your incident response, your vendor risk, and any amendment that you need. It's going to be able to produce over 30 different types of policies and procedures. It's going to be able to have you conduct your vendor assessment right through a dashboard and capture that. You're going to be able to upload their SOC 2 report, and it will actually take it, ingest it, and put it here for you. So you're compliant. It has a built-in threat intel, and what this is doing is monitoring all the current threats throughout the cybersecurity world and giving you an active alert and telling you these are the new threats that are happening today. Isn't that great? You don't have to worry about tracking down news or subscribing to another news line or email and, whatever it might be, the IRS, right? What's happening? This is going to do it for you. It's tied in. The framework monitoring is tied into, again, over 22 different types of framework, and it's constantly monitoring if there's a change. If there's a change today in the IRS Pub 4557 and there's a new mandate, this is going to ingest it. And the nice thing about it, what it's going to do is it's going to take a look at everything that you currently have, and it's going to test against it, and it's going to make sure that it complies. If it needs to update your WISP, if it needs to add a segment to your policy and procedures, it's going to automatically do it. It produces an audit trail, right? This is a one and done system. If you have multiple businesses that you're running, some people have multiple businesses, you can incorporate this tool for multiple businesses. This will be loaded. This is a self-directed platform for you to run on your system, right? You'll build your own customer profile. It has the tools to take your risk assessment. It'll deploy the cyber risk assessment automatically upon sign up. So this is a tool that I'm building today. I want to share that with you. And I'm going to stop and pause for a moment because I want to get back to our seminar. Give me a moment. I apologize for that. So I just showed you this tool, right? I want you to meet the future of AI-driven compliance platform that's going to get you organized, compliant ready in days, not weeks, right? We just took a look at the live tool. This tool is currently under testing and development. It's not going to be ready for the next 60 to 90 days, but this is built for you. If you are currently DIYing it, your cybersecurity compliance, it puts you in control of your environment, right? It puts you in control of your documentation, and it provides you the proof that you're not just printing paper, but actually governing the risk. This is, again, a self-directed platform at the fingertips and is your cyber shield. Let's look at what it costs to build a cyber shield, right? So in order to meet the requirements, you need a risk assessment, cybersecurity assessment, the WISP, the IRP, the written platforms, the procedures, the vendor oversight. The average cost is about $8,000 today, right? That's what you're paying yourself by doing it yourself. Because it's time. These things take time. It's an investment. How much do you charge an hour when you go do a tax return? How much time have you wasted filling out a WISP? Did it take you 10 hours? Did it take you 20 hours? Did it take you 2 weeks? Right? Multiply that. Now, I'm going to share with everybody what we're offering today, and only for the first 20 participants on this web class today, a free risk review. That alone is worth $297. So if you sign up today for a free risk review, we're going to even add the bonus of you being able to try our new AI compliance platform when it launches for a 6-month free trial. You'll have full access and the benefits of this system. 6 months. That's a value of $3,997, right? I'm saving you that money because I want you to become cybersecurity dependent, compliant, making sure that you don't have any more sleepless nights. You'll be the first to use the system and have a complete all-in-one compliance system that gets you audit ready with the click of a button. So if you want to sign up for the free risk review today and be one of the first 20 people that's going to be able to use this system, get a risk review done for you free. Again, saving you $297 and another $3,997 for the first 6 months. I want you to go ahead and I want you to go to www.cardinalbytes.com/shield and make your appointment today. You know, do you want to stop wasting time figuring it out by yourself and save money, right? By adding back 76% savings to the bottom line and focus on billing clients instead of growing your own revenue, instead of wasting your time, go ahead and book your review today. So with that said, again, you're going to be saving $297 for booking that review. Only 20 openings or slots are going to be available. And you're going to be the first to try our upcoming AI compliance platform for 6 months free when it's released. It's a win-win. No more Googling, no more trying to figure it out, and you're not alone. We'll help you build that shield. Again, if you want to take action today and book that call, you're going to go to www.cardinalbytes.com. Shield, limited slots for 20 people. So with that said, I know we went over a lot today. I'm going to stop here. Adamoli, I know that you've been hanging out there with me, but I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to open it up to any questions. You know, we do have the next 29 minutes. My team is going to be monitoring the check-ins and the risk reviews, and they'll start blocking after 20, which is fine. But you know what? You know, let me think about that.
I think we have people.
I think, you know what? I'm not going to block anybody, right? Yeah. You know what, Adamoli? Yeah. Listen, this is valuable to the small business community. You know, I want you guys to think about that value. Having this tool in your pocket for 6 months will actually give you that baseline, whether you want to continue with it or not. So it's open to everybody. Go to www.cardinalbytes.com/shield. Book that risk review. Believe me, it'll be worth your time. So anyway, let's talk about what we learned today. Does anybody have any questions about what we learned today? Are there any questions in the chat, Adamola?
We have contributions, no questions today. I think The very first person said, I'm taking notes. The next person said, thanks, guys, for the insights. And somebody says, the bot scanning point is underrated. Hackers aren't targeting you specifically, they are running mass scans looking for the weakest door. The defense doesn't need to be perfect, but stronger than usual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
I want to add to that comment. I'm actually going to add to that comment. I was just on a conference and we were talking about, I don't know if, most people are not even aware of this yet, but post-quantum computing and how it's impacting cybersecurity now, right? How the mandate is, especially the big corporations, need to change all of their systems over cryptographically to post-quantum computing. And they only have the next couple of years to do this because with AI bots, and that's where I'm going with this, the AI that we have today and what the hackers are leveraging, remember, when you have AI, you're teaching it. Unless you have a specific type of AI that you pay for where you're in a private mode and it doesn't learn from the inputs that you put, because there's two different types of AI, right, Adamola?
Absolutely.
One's learning from your brain if you're on ChatGPT every day asking it questions and you don't have anything protecting and you're not in private mode and it's just ingesting and sharing with the entire world. And then, right, I see it happen all the time.
The free versions. The
free versions, love them. But again, post-quantum computing is real and it's coming. And the big scare with post-quantum computing in the cybersecurity world right now, and the big ahas, is that these AI bots are going to be able to break the very ground that financial institutions use to protect your information and their systems. That's how dangerous this is. And, I cannot reinforce again, listen, Adamola teaches AI all the time, right? He runs special classes. And I've even learned from him, right? I'm going to tell you, if you aren't implementing it and you don't take advantage of what I taught here today, or you're scared, or you're nervous about doing it, or you're really not sure, because I know I did a high overview, right? I didn't give you details and step-by-steps. I gave you a little bit, right? Because we're limited on time here today. But it's important that you do implement this and go for it. So again, I'm going to turn it to Adamola. Adamola, what would you suggest? Can they contact you if anybody's interested? Should they contact you?
Absolutely. So, guys, aside from being the global podcaster, I'm actually AI myself. So basically, what I do is I help businesses to scale, that is to grow with the use of AI. So you can always book a consultation with me. You can go on my website, kingdomspodcast.com, and of course, you can find me. You can also go on the company website, that is K-Dames Consulting limited.org rather. So definitely, if you check the comment section, rather the description, you would see the links to find us. I'll make sure that the links are there. I see somebody talking about, okay, IFV33 says, I'm leveraging AI at the moment, building a local secure private network with zero-claw agents.
And Rust?
I trust. Okay. We'll start using it before we lose it. Does this person mean I trust? Kindly clarify in the comment section. So if you could just start using it before we lose it, use it or lose it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the comment means, but listen, if you're leveraging AI and you're building a tool which is great because it can do things. I'm going to tell you from a cybersecurity and a cyber engineer perspective, no matter what you build on these platforms, again, you better make sure that you're in private, especially if you're handling any type of client data or any personal information or whatever it might be, and that it's hardened, right? But on top of that, no matter what tool you build, even for me, when I'm building, I am ultimately responsible for validating what that AI built.
Mm-hmm.
So this tool, I mean, legally, I'm responsible, right? Before I deploy anything, because you can use anything you want. When I write code for myself, I know what I'm writing. When you let AI write code for you, yeah, it's great. It'll run off Python and Twyland, whatever it wants to, it'll do what you need to do. But if you don't know how to read that code and validate what it's put in there, and if it's missing and it's not sanitized, you're at risk.
Remember data protection.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to know, again, it comes down to command prompts and what are you instructing it to do. Right, Adamola?
Absolutely. I'm struggling to understand what IFV is trying to communicate. It says you think the laws will change and a ban will come in. Yeah, the intent policy.
So he's filling in AI ATM. Is that what I'm getting? Is that what he's asking? I guess, just say yes or no. Are you filling in
I think
AI
ATM is at the moment. AI, I'm leveraging AI at the moment, building a secure private network. ATM is the short form for at the moment.
Okay, you're building, yeah. So there are going to be changes and bans, right? They're already implementing a lot of stuff with the AI agentic. I mean, the FTC, all of the regulatory bodies, NIST, all of them, right? NIST just put out a massive document, right? CMMC, CISA just put out a massive document about what you're required if you're a government, if you're working with the government. So everything is changing massively, and it's changing. I'm seeing a rapid change in the AI and managing it, the private networks and everything else. So to answer your question, yes, if you're not up to date on what's happening and you're building a tool and you're not ingesting, or that AI is not ingesting live feed like I have on my tool to alert you to updates and changes so you can modify that to adapt, then you're going to be out of sync. I think that's the question you're asking me here.
So he says no, a private network with AI managing it.
Okay, well, again, I don't care if you have a private network or not. If you're managing any kind of network with AI, you're still responsible for what that tool is doing. And you're still responsible for understanding if there's any updates when it comes to managing that network and the requirements for oversight.
And are you managing sensitive data as well? Right. And also third party data, client data. You just have to be careful.
A private network is great, right? Like a lot of us, but private networks can get hacked too.
Mm-hmm.
I know, a big VPN provider recently got hacked. So again, I'm going to say this, and I say this to even my clients. I've been in cybersecurity for a long time. Security, there's no such thing as 100% security.
Mm-hmm.
It's false. There are guardrails. There are things that we put in place to help protect and prevent. That's what security is. All you can do is be proactive, protect, and try to prevent. Right? But nothing is guaranteed. I'm going to go back to the story, right? Last year, major player got hacked, multi-billion-dollar company, and they are the industry leaders in cybersecurity. If they can get hacked, anybody could be hacked. And I tell that to my clients all the time. Don't trust, verify, and trust. So we've been on today. Are there any other questions out there? And that's great questions. So, I really appreciate you asking those questions, because maybe for others listening, they need to hear that as well. But if there's no other questions, we're probably going to wrap up. Adamola, do you want to add anything to today's web class?
Wow, guys, thank you very much for staying with us till the end. And to be sure to check the if you're watching on YouTube, I think we're simulcasting. So if you're watching on YouTube, do well to check the description section. I'll put how you can get through to myself or Michelle in the description. And till we see you next week, keep safe. Thank you very much, IFV. It's been an amazing.
Canaries are useful. I love that. Canaries are useful. Fake keys left in the open that tracks the hackers. Love it. Build a honeypot. That's what I tell everybody. When you're building something like this, and that's my last give to you, build a honeypot. Right? Go look it up. A honeypot is a mimic system. So if a hacker gets in, they're in that system and they think they got the access and the keys to your door, but they don't. That's what a honeypot is. And a lot of big companies, even myself, use it. Right? All right. Time to go.
That's it, guys.
All right.